Hello there. How you guys doing? You guys know me. My name is Beto Gudino, and I'm the online MC here at Palm Harvest. We want to welcome you, and I just want to say, isn't this a beautiful day? We're here in Southern California, but we don't know where you might be tuning in from, and we want to hear from you. So one of the best ways in which you can do that is to download the Palm Harvest app to your phone. Super easy to just go to Google or App Store, type in Palm Harvest and download the app. That's one of the best ways in which you can stay engaged and connected. We have small groups going on during the week. We have the after party on Sundays at 10 a.m. We have prayer requests. We have sermon notes, and you can even watch our services online. So welcome, brace yourself, because today is going to be amazing as this beautiful blue sky type of day. See you in a little bit.
Hello, Palm Harvest. Hope you guys are doing well today. My name's David. Let's sing some worship songs together. Caught up in the static and noise. Somehow I had lost your voice. I was spinning out of control. City lights, let's sing out. Drawn into the city lights, I had lost you from my side. You never lost sight of me, but you were always there. You were always there, waiting patiently. You are never far away from me. I am still your own, even when
The Decker Kitchen. We are in the middle of this COVID-19 season craziness, and so we're recording from my home. Mi casa es su casa. Can I get you something to drink? As some of you, most of you know, and if you're tuning in for the first time, we are in this series. I've been leading this teaching series called Words. And today there are 3 words that I want you to kind of keep in the forefront, maybe the peripheral of your thinking. So if you're taking notes, write these words down. It's the word betray, the word desert, and the word deny. Okay? Betray, desert, and deny. Now these words are very similar in many cases, but they're also extremely different with serious ramifications, as we're going to unpack together today. Now I invite you today to look with me at 2 Bible stories that really unpack the story of a young man whose life was somewhat messy. I don't know if any of you tuning in today have ever experienced messy in your life. But I would imagine most of us have probably experienced from time to time how life doesn't always go as we planned. Would you agree with that? You know, you can have your script all right written out. You can do your due diligence and your pre-planning. And yet life has a way of surprising us, doesn't it? Bears jump out of the woods in front of your motorcycle and they can create incredible carnage. And some of you know what that's like firsthand. Life can trip us up. Yes? Yes. And so today we're going to look at this story, this Bible story, found in the Gospel of really 2 places. And so if you have a Bible, I want you to first go to the Gospel of John, chapter 21. In our conversation, we're going to look at this story of this guy, this young man who failed. And so if any of you have ever experienced failure in your life, then you're probably going to identify, you've likely tasted what this young man experienced. But what I want you to really maybe embrace for yourself today is this big idea that Jesus never gives up on me. We're going to see here that Jesus never gives up on him. And so that's the message for you and I today. And so if you're taking notes, if you have your Palm Harvest app, the big idea of our conversation is Jesus never gives up on me. Or maybe if you want to put us, Jesus never gives up on us. Okay? So John chapter 21. And as you're finding your place, whether it's in written or digital form, I want you to write down this first point to keep in your mind as we read this story. You ready for it? Jesus knows me, and still he recruits me. Now, church, that's an amazing truth, and perhaps a little bit scary, that Jesus knows you, and still he recruits you. So John chapter 21, we engage this conversation where Jesus is having with this young man named Peter, who many of you know was one of Jesus's good friends. And Peter's just had this amazing fishing experience with Jesus. They've just had breakfast together. And now Peter and Jesus begin to have this one-on-one conversation. Now I'm going to grab my iPhone here and I'm going to record this from an aerial perspective. Maybe Beto can tune it in so you can look exactly at what I'm reading. Okay, so here I am in the Gospel of John, chapter 21, and I'm going to start reading at verse 15. Okay, this is what we read. Let me tune this in here a little bit better. Perfect. Okay, it says, after breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," Peter replied. "You know I love you." "Then feed my lambs," Jesus told him. Jesus repeated the question, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord," Peter said. "You know that I love you." "Then take care of my sheep," Jesus said. A third time he asked him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt that Jesus asked the question a third time, and he said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Then Jesus said, then feed my sheep. Now I want you to hold in your mind Peter's response to Jesus' question, Lord, you know everything. Jesus knows me and he knows you, and still he recruits us, which is amazing. And in this exchange that Peter and Jesus have, it kind of reminds me of a knock-knock joke. Y'all know what knock-knock jokes is, okay? So let's play along. Ready? So knock-knock, and your response is, who's there? Banana. Banana who, right? Okay? Knock-knock. Banana. Knock-knock. Banana. Knock-knock. Orange. Aren't you glad I didn't say banana again? Aren't you glad I'm a pastor and not a weekend comedian? Hey, Peter. Yeah, Jesus. Do you love me? Jesus, you know I love you. Hey, Peter. Yeah, Jesus. Do you love me? Jesus, you know that I love you. Hey, Peter. Yeah, Jesus. Do you love me? Jesus, you know everything. You know everything about me, right? That's what Peter says. Jesus, you know my strengths and my weaknesses. Jesus, you know my quirks and my obsessions. Jesus, there are no secrets between you or me. You know everything. You know that I love you. Now, friends, what's going on here in this exchange between Jesus and Peter? It almost feels like there's this backstory to their conversation, does it not? Well, if you have that hunch, then you're onto something, because there is. And so I want you to turn back a couple of chapters to the Gospel of Mark chapter 14, where we see really the messiness of this conversation, this backstory that Jesus and Peter seem to be referencing. And so go to Mark chapter 14. I'm going to start reading at verse 1. And again, let me grab my phone here and see if I can record this. And Beto's going to post this up on the screen even as I read it, okay? So I'm going to start at Mark chapter 14, and I'm going to start reading at verse 1. Okay, this is what we read. It was now 2 days before Passover and the festival of unleavened bread. The leading priests and teachers of religious law were still looking for an opportunity to capture Jesus secretly and kill him. But not during the Passover celebration, they agreed, or the people may riot. Okay, now skip over to verse 10. Verse 10. Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 disciples, okay, so one of Jesus' inner core, he went to the leading priests to arrange to betray Jesus, there's our word, to them. They were delighted when they heard why he had come, and they promised to give him money, so he began looking for an opportunity to betray Jesus. Okay? Now skip over to verse 17. Well, let me keep reading. It says, on the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, when the Passover lamb is sacrificed, Jesus' disciples asked him, where do you want us to prepare the Passover meal for you? So Jesus sent 2 of them into Jerusalem. Okay, so now go down to verse 17. So Jesus is there. He's going to have this meal with his disciples, a Passover meal, and this is the content. So picture the scene in your mind. In the evening, Jesus arrived with the 12, and as they were at the table, Jesus said, I tell you the truth, one of you eating here with me will what? Will betray me. Greatly distressed, each one asked in turn, am I the one? Now go down here to verse 27. So they have this meal. Jesus has told them that one of them is going to betray him. We know it to be Judas, and Judas, goes off and does what he's supposed to do. And then verse 27, as they're leaving this Passover meal, this is what we read. It says, on the way, Jesus told them, so they're on their way to the Garden of Gethsemane. He says, all of you will desert me. There's our second word. All of you will desert me, for the scriptures say, God will strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered. But after I'm raised from the dead, I will go ahead of you to Galilee, and meet you there. Now let me stop right there. This is really important, okay? So don't miss this. Jesus says here in verse 18, that everyone, that one of them is going to betray him, right? And then if you skip over here to verse 27, it says that one of you is going to, that all of you rather are going to desert me, right? And so it seems like Jesus is differentiating between deserting him and betraying him. Would you agree with that? Okay, so he says all of you are going to desert me. Let's keep reading, then we'll personalize this. Okay, verse 28. He says, but after I'm raised from the dead, I will go ahead of you to Galilee and meet you there. Now notice Peter's reaction, and this is why it's messy. Peter said to him, even if everyone else deserts you, I never will. But Jesus replied, I tell you the truth, Peter, this very night before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me, there's our third word, 3 times that you even know me. No, Peter declared emphatically, even if I have to die with you, I will never deny you. And all the others vowed the same. Okay? Now, church, if you're familiar with this Bible story, you likely know that Jesus, or rather Peter, did in fact deny Jesus, that he knew Jesus how many times? 3 times, right? After Jesus was arrested by the Romans and after Jesus was being interrogated and beaten up for his upcoming crucifixion, the Bible tells us that Peter was kind of following along in the shadows. And on 3 different occasions, Peter was accused of being a friend of Jesus, right? You know the story. And on all 3 occasions, just as Jesus had predicted, Peter denied Jesus, right? Which is why I suggest Peter later responds in John chapter 21 when Jesus asks him, do you love me? That Peter responds, Jesus, you know everything, right? Jesus, you called me out. You predicted it. So Jesus, you know everything, okay? Now, you know what verse really grabs my attention in this messy story? And this is the verse I want to camp on as we begin to personalize it for your life and my life. It's not the verse where Jesus predicts that Judas is going to betray him. And it's not even the verse where Jesus predicts that all the disciples are going to desert him. In fact, it's even not the verse where Jesus predicts that Peter will deny him 3 times. So what verse grabs my attention? Well, it's verse 28. Look at it. It says, after I'm raised from the dead, I will go ahead of you to Galilee and meet you there. So that's significant for a couple of reasons. One, Jesus tells his disciples that he's going to die, but he's also going to rise from the grave. But here's what really grabs me. It's the fact that Jesus says to them, after all the dust settles, right? After all of this stuff kind of clears out, what I want to remind you guys is I want you to meet me in Galilee. Which suggests to me, and I hope to you as well, is that Jesus just reinforces this truth that Jesus doesn't give up on us. Jesus knows me. He knows my weaknesses. And yet, he still recruits me. Church, this is amazing. This is an amazing story that Jesus knew his disciples were going to desert him, and yet still he recruited them. And I want to suggest that he does the same thing with you and me. That's crazy. Let me hear you whistle. Hopefully you can do better than that. That's amazing. You know, let me give you a personal example. Have any of you ever gone to like personal counseling? Whether it be marriage or just self-counseling or whatever. If you have, there's likely a chance that your psychologist or your therapist or your counselor gave you these words of wisdom. You know, many of you know that I have a master's degree in counseling. And one of the first things that you learn as a counselor, one of the first things you're taught to encourage couples who you're working with is to eliminate 2 words from their vocabulary. Do you know what they are? It's the word never and the word always. Never and always. Friends, those are fighting words. Think about it. If you're in a relationship and you say, you never do this, or you always do that. You ever hear yourself saying that? Stop it. Those are fighting words. Brothers and sisters, you want to have a healthy relationship, whether it's a friendship or a marriage or a relationship even with your pastor, then eliminate the words never and always. Now notice what Paul look, I'm getting text messages. Sunday morning getting text messages. It's crazy. Listen, what's Peter say? He said, if everyone falls away, he says, I will never do that, Jesus. I will never be so weak. I will never be so whimsical. And how'd Peter do, church, with that declaration? You know, right now we are living in this crazy COVID-19 season, right? And there's a lot of attention with trying to find this remedy to this virus and stuff. But I think, you know, what virus I think we really need to be on our guard against? It's the virus that I'm calling I'm better than you. Have you heard of that? The I'm better than you virus. You know, friends, I think far more danger than the COVID-19 virus is the I'm better than you virus. You know, when my life becomes a standard and I compare everything else to me, that I'm better than you, you're moving into dangerous territory. I think Peter had a little bit of this I'm better than you virus. He says to Jesus, if everyone else deserts you, I never will. I never will, Jesus. Why? Because I'm better than them, right? Have you noticed how easy it is for us, for people, to criticize and throw insults at others? You know, in our social digital age, it's so easy for us to throw rocks at people. In fact, Robin and my friend Kirk often say, just because you have a keyboard doesn't make you, a guru. A lot of idiots using their keyboards. But we're in this age where we love to criticize people's actions, do we not? We love to take pot shots at people's decisions. We love to pull apart and point out the negative in what people say and in what people do. You know it. You know it's true. And I'm pointing at some of you because I'm thinking of you right now. I'm better than you. No, I'm not doing that. Listen, I just want to see, there's this tension, right? But when we start focusing on other people's negatives and basically kind of puff ourselves up indirectly, I think what we are falling prey to is what Peter fell prey to, and that's the virus of I'm better than you. So with the show of hands, how many of you have got the I'm better than you virus, right? All I'm saying is let's not be too quick to throw stones at Peter. At least the guy made a declaration. In fact, in my thinking, and this is really, I would encourage you to write this down. I think it's better to fail trying than failing to try. It's better to fail trying than failing to try. If you're going to make a declaration, make a declaration. Peter made this declaration, and I just want to applaud him because at least he took the bat off of his shoulder and swung at the ball. Right? He didn't just wait at the plate to see what would happen. Jesus kind of brushes it off, and then he tells all of his disciples, guys, listen, you're all going to desert me. But after you do, and after everything settles down, I want you to go ahead and I want you to meet me in Galilee. And what is Jesus saying here? I think what Jesus is saying to his disciples and what he's saying to you and me is he says, friends, I understand that you're going to let me down. But although you fail, I still want you to be a part of my team. So go back to our knock-knock joke with Peter and Jesus. Hey, Peter, do you love me? Peter responds, you know that I love you. And then what's Jesus say next? He says, then feed my lambs. Translation? Translation is, Peter, I'm not done with you yet. Hey, Peter, do you love me? Jesus, you know that I love you. Jesus says, then feed my sheep. Hey, Peter. Yeah, Jesus. Peter, do you love me? Jesus, you know everything. You know everything, Jesus. And so you know how I love you. And Jesus says, then feed my sheep. And what Jesus was saying to Peter and here in the Gospel of John and what he was saying to you and me is, he says, I'm not giving up on you. Jesus knows me and still he recruits me. So remember this point number 2, write this down. I think that Jesus pokes me to reset and improve me. Jesus pokes me to reset and improve me. Jesus is poking Peter here, isn't he? Hey, Peter, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? You know, it reminds me of when I was a kid growing up, and I don't think I've told you this story. My brother and I, or sometimes it would be my sister and I, but usually it was my brother and I. If we were in the backseat of the car, a lot of times brothers do what brothers do. We would fight. We would, start picking on each other. And I can remember on more than one occasion when my mom and my dad, usually my dad would be driving and my mom would be in the passenger side, riding shotgun, and they would turn around in the back seat of our car and they would say, "Boys, Michael, you go to the right side, and Murray, you stay on the left side, and I'm going to draw this line down the middle, and you guys do not cross over that imaginary line." And so you know what my brother Murray would do? He would turn to me and he would look at me and he'd go, "I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you," right up to that imaginary line. "I'm not touching you." Oh, it would just drive me crazy. And you know what I would do as his brother, his bigger brother? Bam, I am touching you. Bam, I am touching you. Sorry, that's who I am. Full disclosure. I'm sure none of you ever came from a crazy family like that. Well, you know what my mom and dad are doing now? His mom pounding on my brother, and he's like, Mom, Dad. My dad's driving the car. He's trying to reach around behind me to grab my knee. And if you've ever had your dad grab your knee, it's not going to be a gentle love touch. Everybody's mad. So if you came from a dysfunctional family like mine, welcome to my world. We're a part of the same group. Here's my point. Jesus was poking Peter, wasn't he? And I think the take-home question is, have you ever been poked by Jesus? 3 times Jesus crosses that imaginary line, he says, and he pokes Peter. 3 times he asks Peter the question, "Peter, do you love me?" Now think about this. Why do you think Jesus asked Peter 3 times why he loved him? Wasn't once enough? How many times did Peter deny knowing Jesus? It's almost as if with every poke that Jesus was inviting Peter to hit the reset button. Right? And I wonder really, I guess the takeaway for me is, I wonder how many of you could benefit from hitting the reset button. You could use a redo, a new start, a clean slate, a fresh beginning. Friends, Jesus doesn't give up on us, but he will poke us. And through the poking of his Holy Spirit, he will nudge us, I think, and I want to suggest, to help reset and improve us. But here's where the rubber hits the road. Here's the real deal. You have a choice in this resetting piece, and so do I. You know that, don't you? Here's what I believe about this story. You know, when Jesus predicted that Judas was going to be the one to betray him, right? In fact, it says in the Gospel of Matthew tells us the same story, and Jesus adds, he says, it would be better for this person not to have been born. To the one who betrays me, it would be better for that person to not have been born. Now, was Jesus suggesting that Judas was beyond God's grace and forgiveness? No, I don't think so. I think what I want to suggest is what Jesus was saying, is that when a person betrays Jesus, translation, when they turn their back on Jesus, basically what they are saying is they are saying no to heaven and yes to hell. It would be better for you to have not been born than to spend all of eternity in hell. Listen, I don't know what sin or sins you have committed in your life, but there's not a need for you to betray Jesus. You may have deserted Jesus. You may have even been in a season where you've denied Jesus. But the truth of this story is that Jesus doesn't give up on us. You know, even after we fail, clearly Jesus still believes in us. That's what we read here. And that may be a message that some of you need to hear today, because I don't know if you're tuning in for the first time, and maybe you, when you think back over the course of your life, you recognize that you have had a life detour from Jesus. Perhaps you have gone through a season or two where you have not only deserted him, but maybe even denied him and kind of gone your own way. But you're tuning in today, are you not? Which suggests to me that maybe God's Holy Spirit has been poking you. And now he is inviting you back. Why? Because Jesus pokes us to reset and improve us. So you want to be improved? You want to have a reset? Could you use a do-over and a fresh beginning? Then if so, I invite you to pray a prayer with me. So just open the palm of your hands, wherever you're at, as if you're going to receive a gift, okay, from the Lord today. And I want you to pray this prayer in your heart. Say, Jesus, thank you for not giving up on me. And thank you for loving me, even when I walked away from you. And so, Jesus, I ask today that you will forgive my sins, that you will renew and wash me clean. And Jesus, that you will do for me what you were doing for Peter here in this story, that you will reset my life. And that you will continue to help me to improve and help me to grow, and that you will continue to direct me as I move forward, because I want to live for you. Jesus, I pray this in your name. Amen. Friends, if you want some help in moving forward, I would love to be a part of that journey. And so I would love to hear from you. Just send me an email. Just send it to mike@palmharvest.com and say, hey, Mike, I just want to let you know I gave my heart to Jesus, or I'm renewing my relationship with Jesus. Will you help me? Will you walk with me? Will you point me in a direction to help me grow? I hope you will. I encourage you to do that. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll see you next week.
Sing out together. Higher than the mountains that I face, stronger than the never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love, oh Lord, your love, oh Lord.
Well, hello everyone. It's me again. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of our ministry. And we just want to say, if you would like to support our ministry, we would love for you to participate. And one of the best ways is to give through the Palm Harvest app. All you got to do is download the app to your phone, and you can even set up recurring giving. It's easy, it's secure, it's safe. There's no hassle, and it's a great opportunity for you to practice generosity. If you are not in means to give, we don't want you to give at all. We just want for those who have a generous heart and have the ability to give in this season to participate with what God is doing through our online ministry. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one. Go enjoy the day. Enjoy the sunshine.
Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. God bless you all.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and future. Jeremiah 29:11.